also find that there's often a point in a painting where you're looking less at the source material and you're starting to really feel into the colours that are on the canvas, and the painting kind of starts to take on a life of its own, and that it's really important to notice those moments and go with them, because that's the artist coming through. That's the part of you that knows intuitively how to mark make and how to produce your version of what you're depicting, which should always be the goal in my mind. Good morning, guys. It is Wednesday morning and I've just come into the studio. If you're new here, my name is Susan Nethercutt. I am a visual artist. I've been a professional for many years, and over the past year I have been undertaking a Master of Visual Art, and this vlog is in my uni studio. So this is where I'm currently undertaking my research project for my Masters and having a wonderful time. So welcome if you haven't been here before. And for those of you that are coming back again, welcome back. It's lovely to see you. I had a great day yesterday. I worked for several hours on a new large oil painting, which was such a joy. It's been a really long time since I've done a large painting, and it just felt so right. I've just been waiting for that moment where I would just feel the urge and know what I wanted to do. And I've been waiting for that for a year with this project and with the work that I've been making for my Masters. So I'm really pleased that I've started something and then I'm happy with it. I kind of finished a painting the other day, which you probably have seen already in the vlog, which I'm not that happy with. It feels a bit overworked. I think it's one of those paintings where I am still figuring out how oil painting is for me. I'm a very experienced painter with acrylics, but oils are something that I originally learnt. They were actually the first paints that I painted with when I was 15. I learnt oil painting from a local lady in our town. But I haven't done oil painting much at all in my professional career. So I need to give myself a lot of space and a lot of grace while I figure that out, I think, and allow myself to just have those paintings which aren't quite where I want them to be. And that's kind of the whole point of doing my Masters anyway, is to really refine and figure out what the next expression of what I'm making is going to be and where I'm headed with my paintings. So I'm going to try and keep that in mind. I'm going to really try not to overwork this new painting, although I'm going to find that process challenging because I'm used to acrylic painting where you can just keep layering. Anyway, I'll figure it out. Hello guys, it is Tuesday afternoon. It is a different week, though I strongly suspect I'm probably wearing something that I wore in the last video, because that's just something that tends to happen a lot with me in the studio. I've literally just dashed in from home. I haven't been in for a couple of days because everyone at my house is sick. So I've been playing nurse to everybody and trying my best not to get sick myself. And I have a couple of hours this afternoon that I can just sink into a bit of working on this painting and making the most of these precious couple of hours that I have to paint. Can you relate? Do you turn into the person that has to care for all the sick people at home? Let me know in the comments how you manage these moments. For me, it's all about just stealing what time I can to get to the studio, do what I can, even if I'm at home, having something small to do at home like a sketchbook. Anyway, let me know how you manage those times, because I'm really curious how everyone manages this whole motherhood / artist thing. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking, get to it. I thought it might actually be helpful to just sort of talk through my thoughts about this painting as I'm about to go into it, because the thing between this painting and the one that I just finished, which is this one over here, this guy there, I feel like I kind of went too far with that one. I feel like this painting is overworked, and that it was a painting where I learned a lot, but at the end of the day, I feel like it lost something, that there were too many layers, and then it just, I don't know, it lost its spark. It's overworked. But I'm not going to get cross at myself about that, because I am actually in a really crucial learning stage with my oil painting at the moment. And I'm getting back to painting after not painting for a long time. And I'm also painting landscape fairly realistically, which is not something that I have done much of in the past either. So I'm trying to give myself a lot of grace around this process as I'm going along. And as I'm looking at this painting, it's at that very first stage where I've given it a really light wash of oil. I'll just move the camera in a bit more so you can see what I'm talking about. So this painting has just had the very first layers in very lean oil. So I've really thinned out the pigment and just created a wash, and I'm almost going for like a watercolour effect, where I'm letting a lot of the light of the linen underneath shine through. I'm wanting to catch that really warm, beautiful glow that you get with autumn. So I'm really keen for this next painting to not overwork it and to just keep it really light and spontaneous, and just kind of pick out small details in a very generalized way. You can see where I've started to do this on the second layer here. So I'm hoping to extend that a little bit further throughout the painting and just start to pick out a few of those details without losing that really lovely light washed out effect that I'm going for. It's all really very experimental at this stage, and I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm figuring it out as I go along, but I like it so far. So I'm going to spend the next couple of hours just playing around with that and picking out a few more of those details, just slowly building up a little bit more colour and detail, but hopefully not taking it too far. So I think that's what's good about having a time limit like I have today, to just dip in and dip out and not go too crazy. All right, I'm going to get to it. I'll leave the mic on in case I choose to talk, and that way this can be sort of a little bit of an experiment in the world of coming along with me on a painting. So I'm going to get to it. For those of you that are curious, I am using Art Spectrum lean painting medium. So that is what I really have come to prefer for my first layers. The only other one I've tried is Gamblin's similar product, but I found that to be a bit glossier, and this was just a little bit more matte, which sits a bit better with the look I'm going for. So that's just what I'm using. The look that I'm going for is like just lots of really light washy layers of transparent colour, that kind of layering that you get in autumn leaves in autumn, because what I'm trying to capture here is my backyard in autumn. This is a beautiful Japanese maple tree that is outside my back door. And in the backdrop of that is a massive pin oak tree that is absolutely huge. the canopy is so huge above this that it's mostly out of the shot actually. But this tree is massive, and my backyard in autumn turns into the most glorious, beautiful display of colour. And this day when I took this photograph, it's just kind of a weird print of the photograph that I did on watercolour paper, because I kind of wanted to print it out so that it would bleed, so that it was a bit more melted and washed out, like I wanted to achieve in this painting. So I took this photo one afternoon. I came home and it was just the most glorious, beautiful golden light and play of colour. So yeah, that's what has inspired this painting. I feel such a sense of peace and connection to beauty and nature when I am in my backyard in autumn. It is a particularly beautiful place. I also find that there's often a point in a painting where you're looking less at the source material and you're starting to really feel into the colours that are on the canvas, and the painting kind of starts to take on a life of its own, and that it's really important to notice those moments and go with them, because that's the artist coming through. That's the part of you that knows intuitively how to mark make and how to produce your version of what you're depicting, which should always be the goal in my mind. So I'm really feeling these passages of green and alizarin in here, and just really wanting to enjoy that combination. Because in many ways I think my paintings are all about colour. They've always been about colour. Always about capturing something about the way that colour is in nature. That's how I see it, my unique vision of that. And it's all to do with intuition and playing around with the colours that have appeared on my palette. So I'm really just trying to take note of that and respond to that. It's all about finding these little passages in your work that build up to it being a total painting, but it's all those little passages of the way that colour interplays with each other on the canvas that is what makes it special. I really hope that you can hear the rain outside. It's absolutely gorgeous. Can't tell you how happy that makes me. It's the perfect kind of music for me when I'm painting, is the rain. Part of what I'm doing here now is I'm thinking about the painting very much in terms of composition. As I'm adding in these darker, richer value, I'm thinking about how this diagonal works, and I'm wanting to create a really strong sense of undulating diagonal movement that's going to move the eye through the painting in the same way that I would enter up these stairs and walk into this environment in my yard. So I'm using that tonal value to achieve that. Just rubbing these back because I don't want those to be quite as dramatic as they are. Which is one of the beauties of oil painting. It's much easier to do that and to rub back and to get these subtler effects with oil paint, which is why I have been exploring this medium when traditionally my medium of choice has been acrylics. It's this ability to create subtle sort of atmospheric effects that really is what has attracted me to it. That I can push it forward and then push it back and blend it, and the oil just allows you to do that much easier. As I'm painting this, there's certain artists that keep popping into my mind whose colour combinations in landscape I really adore. One of them is Bonnard. Absolutely love the layering colour he uses in his landscapes and his intimist paintings. They're very different to what I'm doing, but just the passages of colour, particularly this yellow and pink that I'm working on in here, makes me think of some of his work, which is so mind-blowingly beautiful. I had the privilege of seeing some of it at the Bonnard Museum in the south of France when I ran my art retreat there in 2017. And then again, there was a major retrospective of his work at the NGV, the National Gallery of Victoria. Was it last year or the year before? Absolutely gorgeous. Incredible colorist. The other landscapes I've been looking back at a bit recently because I'm going to be going to Vienna in September, are the landscapes of Gustav Klimt, who you probably would know more for his very famous paintings such as The Kiss and his incredible portraits he did of women during the secession in Austria. Absolutely gorgeous. But his landscapes, not many people talk about his landscapes, and they are absolutely stunning. So I'm really looking forward to seeing his landscapes at the Belvedere in Vienna when I go in September. I'm loving how this little area here is developing this conversation between the yellow and the pink. Another artist I was thinking of over the last few days, in terms of someone who I absolutely just think is the most incredible colour genius, is Chagall. And to this date, the only artwork that I have been so overcome when I stood in front of it that I cried. It has never happened to me before, and I didn't even like Chagall that much. I've never really responded to reproductions of his work, but when I saw it in person at that same retreat I did in the south of France, absolutely blew my mind. So beautiful. Didn't blow my mind, blew my spirit. Like, just some artists just get you in the heart, and their colour is, I don't know, just something about his artwork was unbelievably moving. Just got to get more of that yellow next to the pink because it's so pretty. So you can see how I'm just super gradually building up the layers in this painting. I'm just moving backwards and forwards. I've got to stop going into this area. I really feel the need to bring it back. It's gone a bit too dark and I don't want it to be so dark. So I'm just going to use a Q-tip to remove some of it. And just bring it back a bit. So I feel like that area just really needs to be very soft and also kind of in the distance. You'll have to let me know in the comments if there's any artists you think of as I'm working away here. I'd love to know who your favourite artists are for different things, like who's your favourite colour artist, who's your favourite composition artist. I just would love to know what you guys think, what you're attracted to, what grabs your eye. Is there someone I should be looking at that you think I would love? I always love a good fellow artist recommendation. I'm really enjoying how this tree is slowly taking form, and I'm just so gradually working at the different layers and figuring out how to capture that magic of the glow of a Japanese maple in autumn as it's slowly moving through russet tones into deep burgundies and just all those different phases that this tree was at this point when I photographed it in late autumn. It really is the most beautiful way to meditate on a tree. And you know, it doesn't even exactly look like this picture that I'm painting from necessarily, but I feel like it's capturing the glow and the spirit of that moment, which is really what I'm after in this painting. This is one of those really minimal mark-making moves that's going to make a big impact in this painting, just to have these glistening yellows just picked out at key points throughout the painting to help carry the eye. They're just like little bits of magic and I love them. And this is what happens with autumn leaves. You get like this gradation of colour in how they cascade off a tree and interact with the environment around them, and are just so pretty. It's those kind of magic moments I'm always wanting to capture in my work. But it's also these little spots that actually tend to be where you overwork a painting, so it's a really delicate thing to not go too far, but also not go too tight in trying to not go too far, if that makes sense. I think I'm getting to that stage now where I'm getting tired, and if I go for too much longer, I may start to make errors. Here we go. So this is where we are currently at. And I'm pretty happy with the progress I've made today. I've sort of built in a little bit more tonal contrast and given it a little bit more oomph. I can see where I want to go in to do a few more passages later, but I do think that if I keep going for much longer, I'm going to end up making a mess, and I really don't want to do that. So I'm just going to add in a few more little areas that I can see that I want to extend upon before I down brushes for today. The bit that I'm really tempted to stay and do is to start to get into the darker values in here, but I feel like I want to be really, really super present when I do that and not rush that process, because this is where I think I may have made errors last time. So I'm going to be sensible and take my time and just work on getting a few of these areas filled out that I want to just have a little bit more background to work with. I'm just blending in here with these areas and the way that they talk to each other. Because it's that beautiful blending, I think, that happens with the leaves in autumn, or anyway in my backyard in this particular scene. The blending that happens that's in this picture is just kind of unreal. Like, it's so beautiful. And the process that I'm in at the moment is kind of accentuating that and taking a little bit of artistic license with it to just build out a really beautiful colorscape. It's kind of the balance between the two, I think. It's these kind of atmospheric effects that I'm getting in there now that are why I want to paint with oil. You can just do things that you otherwise can't do. Okay, I'm going to call it done for the day. I'm really pleased with the passages that I've built in here today, particularly getting this diagonal happening in the painting. I'm very happy with how that's working, and then this other undulation of yellow here. Very pleased with how it's coming together, and that I haven't overworked anything, and that I'm very mindful of that not happening. I'm just gonna bring some of this back a little bit more before I go, because it will be dry in the morning if I don't get it off now. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased. All right, I'm gonna pack up and go home to the sick family and cook dinner, my other life. And hopefully I will be back again tomorrow, and it will be nice and dry and ready for me to do another layer. All right, I'll see you later.